Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Bobby Spiegel. I'm the President and CEO for the Corona Chamber of Commerce. I am very excited to be able to welcome you here today to this call. And this is a very special call that we're having, part of our advocacy outreach. And as we get started, I just want to kind of let you know that this is being recorded. And for those that may not have been able to attend the live in-person presentation, please, as you're watching this, if you ever have any questions, connect with us. We are at 951 Chamber. You can dial us, or you can email me, Bobby, B-O-B-B-Y, at mychamber.org. And before we actually get started into the full section of the program, we're going to go ahead and share a couple of upcoming events that we have. So Anthony will pop up on the screen. The first thing is our economic forecast on Friday, July 15th. We've got the renowned speaker, Dr. Christopher Thornburg, who will be sharing some great information about our economy. That will be on July 15th at 11 a.m. For more information, visit the bit.ly at Econ Forecast July 15th for tickets and sponsorship opportunities. We are limited and almost sold out, but please go to that bit.ly and register in today. The next slide that we've got is a job fair. We've heard loud and clear from so many different businesses that they are needing qualified individuals to work for them. So we've set up a complete job fair for July 23rd at the Dos Lagos facility. It's a Shops at Dos Lagos. It'll be from 9 till 12. We do have some spaces available. You can go on to the bit.ly job openings 2022, all caps, and you can register to get a booth, and so that you can have to collect applications and whatnot. And the job seekers, we're incentivizing them a little bit. We're going to be giving away a 65-inch TV, and there'll be some other prizes as well. So we do ask you to register. For those that are chamber business owners here that are members of our chamber, instead of the $250 per space, it's a $100 investment for you. So it's a great discounted item. Our next event that we have coming up, and this is not just for women, but it is a women's leadership conference for Riverside County. It'll be on Thursday, August 25th. It'll be early morning till about 12:30. Today is the end of the day for the flash sale. So if you can go to the website of mychamber.org/WLC for Women's Leadership Conference, you will be able to register. And when you go to checkout, the tickets are at 50% off. The price of the tickets are $100. Today, they're only $50. Today is June 24th. So make sure that if you're listening to this, today is the day to buy those. Next slide, and I believe our last slide. What you're going to hear today is a lot of advocacy and what we do for the business community, and why we want to embrace and have people understand what we do. But every year we go back to Washington, D.C. for a D.C. Legislative Summit. It'll be on September 19th to the 21st, and there's lots of different things that we've got scheduled, from meeting with our Congress to the Senate, to various different people, decision makers, policy makers, and it is a full 2.5 days of activity. Some of us are flying out on that Friday before, because some people want to tour the White House. If you are wanting to do that, we need you to register and get all the information into us before July 1st, so that we can make sure that we get clearance for you for the tour of the White House on that Saturday. On the Sunday, we're going to do a Mount Vernon tour. Again, all of these things are optional, and then our event starts on Monday, the 19th. So you can go to our bit.ly/Corona DC 2022 for all of that information. So I'm done with all of our commercials, and I want to just take an opportunity to introduce to you the gentleman that is our chair for our advocacy outreach. Jeff Miller is a familiar name in our city of Corona. He used to serve as the mayor and the city council member for a number of years here. He worked strong on bringing some good business ideas to the Corona area. He then advanced on up and was elected to serve the state of California as our assembly member. And Jeff now is retired from that, but during the time that he was at the state legislature, he was able to introduce and bring some common sense bills and keep people in line with understanding how important it is for business owners to be able to function. Well, today we have an opportunity because some of the people up in Sacramento are thinking of changing some things and making it a little more difficult for our business community. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff. I want to thank him for being our chair, and he will introduce the future speaker. Thank you.
Great, Bobby. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be the chair of this committee. We're doing really good work, and I think today will show that there's the kind of work that we're doing. We're gonna review one of the bills that we've been covering for several months, and come up with an action plan for members to help the chamber get the word out to the appropriate people. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jeff Gibson, and then I'm going to ask Chad Miller to make some comments after Jeff on his personal experience dealing with this bill and what it could do to his business model. And with that, I'll introduce Jeff. Jeff owns a company called Occidental Communications Group for 35 years. Jeff has specialized in political campaigns, government affairs, government relations, has specialized in areas of transportation and environmental, housing, transportation, and was the author of Jessica's Law back in 2006. So Jeff, take it away.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. So, and as always, I appreciate the generous introduction. So, the bill that we're looking at is AB 2840. It's a continuation of a multi-year attempt by Assemblymember Eloise Reyes, the Assembly Majority Leader. So she's the number 2 ranking person in the Assembly, and is in charge of every the way the bills are considered on the floor by the House. So she's a very powerful person. She represents San Bernardino and a large portion of Riverside County in basically her new district. So she's a neighboring a member of the legislature, and her bill 2840 has been purported as her attempt to eliminate the ability of distribution centers in the future to operate within 1,000 feet of almost any location that you would find in an urban environment. And so the bill is stalled for a week. It has been paused for a week in the Senate. It passed out with a bare 41 votes in the Assembly, when on the floor the author, Ms. Reyes, offered to curtail the bill just to Riverside and San Bernardino counties. It's opposed by a large number of unions, by a large number of businesses and other groups, because of the fact that it is not very well thought out, because distribution centers, and I'll get into what actually qualifies as a distribution center here. So these types of businesses are designed specifically to be well within the urban grid. And generally they are well within an urban zone, within an industrial zone, within a city, because they have to operate efficiently, and you can't operate these types of facilities efficiently around homes, churches, schools, bus stops. The two don't mix. Both sides in this recognize that the two don't mix. And what set the bill going in particular is that there is a school in the district that Ms. Reyes represents that has industrial distribution centers on both sides of it. Well, and if you look at that, you would immediately think schools are good, distribution centers can be or may not be good, and that schools and kids and trucks don't mix. That would be correct. That is why the city of Fontana, eons ago, almost 45 years ago, put in an industrial zone when everything was still farmland right next to the I-10. They have worked very hard to keep all non-industrial businesses out of that area. But in the state of California, a school district can cite a school wherever it deems appropriate. And a school district decided to put a school between two distribution centers. So it wasn't the distribution centers being put around the school, it was the school being put in the middle of distribution centers. So we are trying to negotiate on behalf of not just distribution centers, because while those are very important, that's just one subset of what's going to be hurt here. It's if you do any manufacturing, if you have smart manufacturing, if you have a flexible facility, if you have the type of facility that would qualify for GoBiz funds, of which hundreds of millions have come into this area through Assemblymember Cervantes and State Senator Roth, if you are involved with Norco College in a training program for veterans, in which you're trying to offer veterans extra economic opportunity by coming into your business through a retraining program, all of those things are going to be very affected by this bill, because once you apply for some sort of either government, if you applied for a GoBiz loan, if you're participating in these programs, if you decided to shift your facility around and your facility is more than 100,000 square feet, and you decided that you needed to get some sort of city permit, you say you were adding a new set of manufacturing equipment, and you had distribution out the back. If you have a building that has a loading dock, under this bill, pretty much you are a distribution center. And so you are grandfathered in until you need another government permit. So if you don't change anything about what you do ever, under any circumstance, then you may be okay. If you are a dynamic organization, in any flavor of this, then you are going to be affected by this bill. Even if you are a static organization, Jeff, we haven't applied for a city permit in decades. We've got all of our SC AQMD emissions equipment, and it's up to date. We don't, we're just fine. You are the unicorn in the California regulatory thicket, and it still is going to affect you, because those suppliers that you're relying on, those freeways that you're relying on, are now going to be thoroughfares to your door. But instead of it being, hey, the guy, I bought my building here because, the guy across the street has a similar business. And so we were able to split supply. We both got a deal from our main suppliers. Okay, well, that main supplier now has to move to Victorville, now has to move to Barstow, now is incentivized to move to Las Vegas, and is going to be charging you 2, 3, 4, 5 times, or under this bill is incentivized to move to Palmdale or Orange County or someplace else. But they're not in Corona anymore. They're not in Eastvale anymore. They're not in Harupa Valley. And so you're going to be competing for additional space. Your workers, your trucks are going to be competing for additional space on freeways. So it is a bill that is trying to solve a specific problem with a sledgehammer and a case of nitroglycerin. And that's really what this is, because this stands in the way of what we've been doing here at this chamber and what we've been doing in this state for the last 30 years of trying to get people to locate closer together so that we drive fewer miles, so that our freeways last longer, so that we get more bang for our buck and more environmental protection. This, without meaning to, turns that on its head. Now, the examples that the author of the bill has are very dramatic examples of polluted sections of her district that have a great deal of distribution centers. I'm not going to, and I don't think it's effective for us to doubt that those situations exist in her district. By the same token, and there's a lot of opponents that say things like, what, you don't order anything on Amazon? And the bill is colloquially known as the Inland Empire Amazon bill. And there is a component that is looking at future growth, right? The idea behind the bill is, let's limit the future growth of Amazon type distribution centers within the Inland Empire. Let's get rid of them. And there's plenty of ground for that temptation. What they aren't realizing in Sacramento, and what we need everybody on this call, Derek and everybody, to start to do, is to look through and think what would happen if this bill were to pass to your supply chain. Because it isn't some sort of future impact that is really of concern, it's today. Because if you have a supplier and they are within the Inland Empire, and they just got cited by the SCA QMD for having emissions, an emissions system that, heaven forfend, is more than 5 years old, then they're going to need a city permit to install that. As soon as they install that, then they fall under, and they have and they install the new emissions equipment on their on-site manufacturing center that has, it's 110,000 square feet, and the back 10,000 of it operates as the distribution center. As soon as you get that permit, you are a new distribution center. You need to now draw 1,000-foot radius around your building and ask yourself, am I near a bus stop? Am I near a jail? Am I near a county work site? Am I near a home? Am I near a church? Am I near a playground? Am I near a list of things? When I drafted Jessica's Law, which most of the people that are voting for this bill think was the wrong approach, specifically because it included distancing requirements. Jeff Miller and I went through this. So apparently distancing is not the way to keep predators away from kids in schools, but it is the way to keep businesses away from cities. And so apparently distancing works, but that's the type of thing, unfortunately, that you're going to have to do if you are going to go out and find you're going to get new permits. And the permitting process, I mean, Chad Miller could probably sing chapter and verse on this. You redo the offices, right? You're expanding, you're doing well. You redo a set of offices, and you've got to have a city permit for something. Well, okay, you're no longer grandfathered under 2840, and so that's the key. The two key legislators in this, and yes, Bobby, please put up a slide of our legislators. A lot of times, our legislators are always important to go to, and to get to make sure that they understand the challenges that we face as employers. The thing that makes our two legislators, Assemblymember Cervantes and State Senator Richard Roth, extremely important in this case, is this bill is specific to Riverside and San Bernardino counties. So their voice is going to be amplified. San Bernardino County opposes this bill. Supervisor Kurt Hagman has written a letter opposing this bill. Supervisor Karen Spiegel, our supervisor, opposes this bill. So local voices are very, very important in this process. They're absolutely key. And if I'm wrong on any of this, Jeff, you please feel free to jump in. But the legislature always defers to the local people. And the more we get our local people telling Assemblymember Cervantes, who voted for this bill in the Assembly, it passed out by one vote. And the reason it passed out was because it was promised that it would be curtailed from affecting all 58 counties to just affecting Riverside and San Bernardino counties. So we are literally doing this to ourselves. And so it's very important that Cervantes and Roth understand that all of their investments that they have put into GoBiz, that they have stood in front of the Corona Chamber and the Riverside Chamber and very truthfully said, our commitment are to bring jobs here. And we have worked with them to do that. That is upended, and it's not in the future, it's today. And because there are people that are installing new emissions equipment, there are people that are building an extra 5,000 square feet for warehouse on the back of their 95,000 foot facility. There are people, right? So there is no, and Chad, you read the bill. You and I read it together. What constitutes a distribution center in my plain read of the bill is almost every single advanced manufacturing type of if you've got a single line and that single line produces something that goes into a shipping box, and then you put those shipping boxes on a pallet and you shrink wrap it and you put it in a truck, that's a distribution center. And you've just described, thousands of businesses just in Corona alone, or hundreds of businesses just in Corona alone. I gave us a little bump, but up and down the 15, up and down the 91, up and down the 10. I mean, that's what San Bernardino and Riverside counties, that's the heart of what we do economically. So that's why it's going to hit us even harder than the rest. So I'm happy to take any questions or, any discussion.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, just to highlight the one point that he mentioned is that, a lot of the legislators up there, they really don't want to mingle and tinker in another person's district. So it's so important that the folks that are being impacted by this, which in this case is our assembly member and our senator, they hear from us because their votes are absolutely key. Because a lot of the other members, they may not be interested, they may lay off, they might be motivated because one special interest group is pushing them or not, and just it's really, really important to have our local folks do the right thing. With that, I would throw it over to Chad for any comments.
Great, thank you, Jeff, for that, and for Jeff Gibson for the great scenario here. I think some of the things that are a concern for me would be simply that there's always unintended consequences that happens when things like this, kind of like Jeff mentioned, that they have a specific thing they're trying to correct, but they're using a sledgehammer for a very small thing. So I guess my comments first would be that not having a clear definition or understanding, because this thing seems to encompass all manufacturers have some component of distribution. So the fact that there isn't, an Amazon building and what I do are not the same. And so trying to lump us all into that category, I think, is wrong. So I don't think that's definitely a component. That's a component of this bill. That's definitely a problem. So it unfairly categorizes these, all manufacturers do some component of distribution, because once it's made, it's got to get into a box on a pallet to get shipped out. So that's my first concern. The second is it seems to be counterintuitive to all the work that's been done to bring businesses, manufacturing and distribution to the Inland Empire area, where Riverside and San Bernardino County, for example, the San Bernardino Airport, which I have toured and looked at all the businesses around it that support all that. That was, it was actually presented as, look at what we're doing to make this area, attractive to manufacturing and distribution, because where do these containers go? These containers, come out to our area in the Inland Empire where the distribution centers and where these containers go. So not only do we have difficulty getting the containers off of our ships through our ports across our freeways, and having a shortage of chassis to get the product or the containers moved. As we know, another crisis that seemed to be partially engineered was we had no place for these containers that they were unloading. So to kind of cripple us in that, especially when the restrictions are so great of all of the different sensitive receptors, that I don't see a full list. I haven't seen a full list, but the ones that Jeff shared today, I mean, a bus stop. So in San Bernardino with that airport, I know our building in Riverside, our train track is within, within many buildings over there that have bus stops there. So it just seems like maybe that sledgehammer, that to use that term that Jeff used, certainly is not the right approach for this, knowing that that's what that area is. All that transportation, the train tracks, the bus stops, the manufacturing locations, the airport, the warehouses are all there. So it seems like we're really going the wrong direction with this. So those are the components that are concerning for me at this point. And as Jeff mentioned, I did read this bill, and there's just so much that I would have questions on. So I know it seems to me that they're trying to push this through without really having clarity. I know that I would certainly like to ask my other members how they interpret what this means, but as it was presented today, it certainly, I think, is going to have a lot of unintended consequences that would be bad for the Inland Empire.
Yeah, there are a lot of unintended consequences. What I will do is I will give a couple sample letters to Bobby, and he can get Bobby into you, Chad, and you can get them out to the Manufacturers Council members and people like that, so that we can start to file it. The bill is up against certain deadlines and is very likely to be heard on the 29th in the Senate Governance and Finance Committee. So we will get those letters out today and then keep pushing. So I appreciate everybody's time.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. This is Derek here from Sunset. As a local manufacturer here in Corona, that information you provided, it's extremely concerning. Just to throw our 2 cents into this, it really does seem, like you said, a sledgehammer for a local simple problem. And I believe you're right. The unintended consequences are scary because as a manufacturer, it's already hard enough to get supplies, to get jobs. And these types of bills would really make it harder for our suppliers to bring product in. And even us as a company, I mean, yeah, we bring vehicles in and out on trucks all day long. We're not that defined, we don't meet the description per se, what they're intending to do. So I guess what would be the steps for people who don't know what to do, and how can we do that timely? Is that something you can share with forms, documentation, so we can help spread the word?
Yes, yeah. We will be putting that up and getting that to you shortly. And then here's a sample letter. If you want to put your name on it and give that, you can send it back to me. I will get it to the committee. You can send it directly to the assembly member and to the state senator. And because we want a group of voices right now, up until about a week ago, it was the we need distribution centers group versus the we have too many group. And that's where I sat back and did the work of what other groups fall into this category. And we started to make that case, and the bill was delayed. It was delayed for a number of different factors, but that was definitely one. The argument I made this morning was listed in the committee staff report, and we were the ones that were making it. So we know that this has caused people to pause, and this is really an opportunity for 30 or 40 or 50 people to really have an impact, to say, I'm in city planning right now on a couple thousand extra square feet, or I've got city inspectors coming out to look at a new piece of equipment that I just installed. And now I'm looking at having to idle the whole thing. And I've been working with Norco College for a gazillion years, and we've happily brought in 10 workers, 20 workers, 100 workers, whatever were placed. And now I'm concerned what happens to those workers. So, yes, absolutely. We're available. We'll be meeting next Wednesday as well on Zoom, and we'll definitely be discussing this. So I appreciate everybody's time.
Thanks, Jeff. Just to follow up
Sure.
on Derek's question. So we're gonna, for next week, we'll draft some letters that folks can sign. We'll provide the legislators' phone numbers and email addresses so we can give them some bullet points to be able to talk about when they make a call or send an email. Of course, they can sign the letter. Is there anything we want to do on social media? Create a slide or something that we can do some promoting with Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, I will work on one. Yeah, and so that should be out later. But yeah, this is definitely a bill that we want to. We can be effective. The Corona Chamber and the Manufacturers Council doesn't take a position on every bill, and even bills that we think may be dangerous. We don't want to waste people's time if they aren't going to be heard. In this bill, you're definitely going to be heard. I mean, this really is the time to stand up and say, okay, this is where we need to go to we really need to get together and be effective and be heard here. So, yep, absolutely. Lots of work
Great,
coming
Bob.
from us in the next couple of days.
Great. Bobby, I'll throw it back to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Chad. Thank you, Derek. And for those that are listening to this recording, time is of the essence. So if you have any questions, feel free to outreach to us. Again, our phone number here is 951-CHAMBER. You can email me at Bobby, BOBBY, @mychamber.org. I'm going to give you my cell phone number, so just in case you want to text, or if you want to call me, is 951-733-1836. The Corona Chamber provides these informational messages and stuff for you to help you navigate your business and to do things. We're asking on this one particular issue here for you to step forward and take time to write the senator and write the assembly member, to call them, to take action. We want to do this as a grassroots campaign and make a big difference for all of our businesses locally. On behalf of the chamber and our advocacy outreach group, we want to say thank you so much. Appreciate you listening. Look forward to seeing you. Another last minute plug though, every Wednesday, we have Jeff Gibson giving us a dissecting a different bill that comes up every week that he kind of goes through and shares what's going on. Jeff Miller puts together a complete agenda so that we can go ahead and inform you. That's every Wednesday at 10 o'clock. If you're interested in that, connect with us. Have a great day. Thank you so much for being part of the Corona Chamber.
Thank you.